when you're 80 and you're looking back at your life, what do you want to think about? What do you want your legacy to be?
So we were just at a Dave Ramsey event, and they proposed a question at one of the, it was a leadership event at one of the sessions. It said, like, what would your community not have if you weren't in business? I don't want to say I want a building named after me, but I truly want my grandkids and my great-grandkids to hear a story where it's like, he sponsored a class for my mom and she was able to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, whatever that looks like.
The
like
generational
the generation,
change that it
like,
ripples.
And I mean this, like, the change and the legacy that I'll never know about this side of heaven. Like, that's
the goal.
That's what's cool for me. Now, I want to push back on you, and I'm going to encourage you to make sure that you're going back to high schoolers, anybody that you know, because I know you're still close enough to that age group that you've got some influence there. Like, have you been able to influence any people going into college yet?
I hope.
Okay.
I hope I have. I definitely tell people and I know there were other people in my graduating class that went to Ivy Tech, but I was very public on, I'm going to Ivy Tech. Like, I remember posting a picture of my first day of me going to Ivy Tech, and I drove a 2010 Ford Fusion, and it had a dent all down the side of it. And I bought it like that because it was way cheaper, dented. And I bought it in cash, and I posted that, and I was just like, first day of college, like, hashtag commuter, something funny like that. And I try to just normalize it. It's normal. It's real. Like, I try to tell anybody I can. Like, I went to community college. After that, I went to an IU satellite campus. Right. And it's been so beneficial for me. And I have a job that I would probably, like, I truly don't think that me going the route I did hindered my job or my career search after college. And if anything, I think it helped it. It boosted it because I was able to, I think maybe I had 2 years of sales experience in college, and then I worked in banking for a year, and then I'm in the position I'm in now. And it's like, I probably wouldn't have had those experiences working if I was going to a state school. So
did this Ivy Tech or IUE, sorry.
Yeah, you're okay.
Did they help any with job placement, anything like that?
They do.
Okay.
I know Ivy Tech really, I think they did very good at being a part of that. I remember we had like some kind of a senior thing at IU East, and IU East it's a small community, but it's really nice because they do have that. They do want it to still be like a community, even though not a lot of people are on campus. I remember sitting down with, like, towards the end, they wanted to know, they're like, what is your plans after graduation? Like, tell us what's going on. And I knew what I was doing because I was staying with where I was at, getting a promotion, these things. But I do remember I had friends who were like, hey, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they did, they were trying to help.
So when did you start, you're at a credit union currently. Mm-hmm. When did you start working for that credit union?
I actually had my 1 year work anniversary like a couple of weeks ago. So
you had a job for 6, 7, 8 months.
Mm-hmm. And then got a promotion.
Like, once again, that's one thing nobody talks about. Like, you got a job, you may not been doing exactly what you wanted. You may not been getting paid exactly what you wanted.
I didn't like my job.
Okay.
Where I was at. I mean, I love my job. Don't fire me. But I was a teller. I was on the teller line, and I was like, I don't, like, this is okay, but, like, this is not what I want to do forever. I do not want to count back cash. I don't want to make cashier's checks forever. Like, I don't really like this that much. And then they were like, hey, like, we're really interested in you. We think you do a good job. And I'm like, really? And they're like, we want to teach you, like, lending. We want to teach you more about, working with members, being like, opening accounts, like, doing things more than just sitting on the teller line. Nothing against being on the teller line, but it wasn't enough for me. Like, I wanted to do more, and they really invested in me. And so, I'm a better employee because of it. I was telling, I don't know if you got it on video or not, but they're paying curriculum for me to become a certified credit union financial counselor, which is really unique. It's not a degree, but it is a certification. And I'll be able to sit down with members at our credit union and be like, hey, we're going to work on the debt snowball together. Or, hey, we're going to find out a budget. Where's your money going? Sitting down with them and doing stuff that's, really changes people's lives. Like being financially secure, it brings you so much mental peace. Physical health is better when you're financially okay. And I'm not meaning like I make $100,000 a year or I'm worth millions. I just mean you're not living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is you're going to look up in 10 years and like it's like we've been doing this now for 14 years and it looks like an overnight success if you see a truck
but
that
it's
my
not.
wife drives or, literally I just had this conversation like we just built a home last May and
that's a goal of mine.
My original house in Glenwood would fit in my garage right now.
That's
now,
so
granted,
cool.
we drive 2 diesel trucks, so the garage is a little oversized.
That's
However,
okay.
it's like, and like I don't even like when you're your age, like you say, oh, I want this big house. And like, but I mean, our thing is I bought that house when I was 21. I just turned 22. I think bought it when I was 21, closed on it at 22 technically. And the amount of people that made fun of me for that, like, and I tell everybody I can, like, and I don't do it as much anymore, but all the new team members that we had, I used to drive them by my old house, especially when I was training sales guys. I'm like, here, let me show you my house. They're like, that house? I'm like, yeah.
That's cool.
Like 2-bedroom house in Glenwood. Like, there's nothing sexy about it, okay?
Well, yeah.
But it was so functional, and it goes back to like, it goes back to your degree. Nothing sexy about a degree from Ivy Tech. However,
it really stinks. I do remember I went out with, we would go to like a bar in Oxford, Ohio, because it was close enough to where I was at, and you could get in because we were under 21 and we just had X's on our hands, and it was so cool. And I was like, man, there's people who do this every weekend. But right. You know what? That's not me. Yeah. I don't want to pay for that. I don't want to be in debt for that.
Well, I mean, and that's another thing is like choosing like what you do. Like there is also, what does it really cost to live? Like what does it really cost to go to college? Like the room and board or the partying or the food plan. Like, it's just crazy. And, and then like, and I know you're not at this point yet, but you're not that far from it. Like when you get married and have kids, Emily watched a lot of friends and a lot of people her age want to be stay-at-home moms and just flat couldn't afford it. Right. And like my dad tells a story that there's one of our friends that my dad's told Emily 100 times, like, that woman's jealous of you, right? Because you get to stay at home with your kids. Now, poor girl, the last few years isn't a stay-at-home mom, but at least an enormous amount of flexibility,
right?
That she's not a slave to an 8 to 5. And, and I'm very thankful that there are women that want to work in the workforce. Like Ellie works for us. And it's funny because she stayed home on a Friday, worked from home a couple weeks ago. I think there was a babysitter thing. And I'm like, Ellie, just get the phones answered, get the leads put in, enjoy your kids. And like, she calls me at 2:00 and she's like, I can't wait to come to the office Monday. She goes, this being at home with these kids, she's like, I can't sit down and do anything with mom. And I just laugh because like, I'm so thankful that she's willing to come to work,
Well, I told my boyfriend that I'm with now, I said, I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. Like I don't like it is. I don't enjoy, like I love kids, but I would go insane. Like I need adult conversations. I love working. I love having a job.
That's hilarious because when I went to go work for Dave Ramsey, Emily was a legit stay-at-home mom. Yeah. And I worked with a girl and she's like, I could never be a stay-at-home mom. And guess what? She's a stay-at-home mom. And it's hilarious because Aaron, if you see this, sweetheart. Yeah. But Aaron was just, this is how it was going to be.
That's me.
I couldn't see it. Like, and she never said anything to like downgrade a stay-at-home mom.
That's how I feel.
However, like it was just like there's no way I could do it, and now she is, and it's funny and heck.
That's
because,
so funny.
I was texting her. It's been a couple years ago now. She's like, "Oh, I stay so busy with these kids," and now her kids are in school, so she should have plenty of time.
Right.
It's just funny, and like I said, like, and if you want to or not, like, even if it's an extended 2 or 4 or 6 extra weeks of staying home when that baby comes, like. Depends when what part time of year is it real cold and nasty, like that importance of that, and just like I said, just the financial freedom that I really wish everybody could taste, because and that's why like these guys that work for me, and I've had guys argue with me, well, you just build a house, it's easy for you to say. I'm like, you're 21 years old, pup, like and even my brother Matt bought the old truck that I started this business in, and it's a rusted out 04 Chevy truck, and he still got it. So like that's a little bit of a reminder of like where we started at, and like I said, there's so much peace to it, and I just genuinely wish that people totally grasp that, and and also just like be willing to go through that struggle. If that was, my dad got laid off 2 months before I started college. Yeah. So not that I was going to depend on him any for college, but when he's laid off,
thinking, hey, that's my parent. Am I going to have to do something for him? Like, am I going to have to? Because I will.
I work full time, and I actually had to help make the mortgage payment a couple times because of him being laid off. So like and I mean, my dad grew up, raised us as a single dad. He got remarried and everything, but he was pretty much a single dad raising us 3 older kids. And just, I don't know, it's just what them struggles will do. Like, you'll look back and laugh and be like, oh, wow, that stupid dented car that, I mean, it's.
I love it still.
I mean, it's like, I tell the story, like when me and Emily started dating, she had this complete piece of crap Nissan Altima, and I think at least overdrive was burnt out, and I think drive was burnt out. And I'm like a math nerd, and the first time she's coming over to my house, she's like, okay, I'm leaving my mom and dad's, and I knew where she lived at, and I was like, what's taking her so long? And I remember walking out at my front porch, and I called her. I was like, hey, I mean, everything good? Like,
are you okay?
And she's like, oh, I had to stop and get gas. I'm like, okay. And then like she drives by. I was like, wait a second, was that you that just drove by? She's like, yeah. I was like, she's like, I didn't want you to see my car. And I'm like, okay, I'm not that shallow of a person. I'm going to not date you because you have a crappy car. But I mean, that blew up. She drove an $800 Dodge Stratus that we bought from her aunt and uncle, that her cousin Josh Henderson, Elisa started driving it. And I think Elisa took care of it. Josh being a teenager, I think he ramped everything he could. And I went to change the oil one day, and I couldn't hardly get the plug out because it was almost ground off from all the times it had been bottomed out. The oil pan had to be thin from that. It lasts 6 months. It was that $800 car. That's back when scrap was worth something. I got $400 out of it. Cool. Cost $75 a month to drive it. I am quick. I'm good with quick math there.
He's better than me.
But I mean,
Someone
honestly,
get this guy a job.
Yeah. So yeah, please. I heard his boss is a jerk, but I mean, it's the struggles. It's having to pay for your prom dress.
Yeah.
That I guess maybe we should normalize a little more and use it as a building character, because you will look up one day and I want to give my kids the world. I'm building the freaking cow barn right now.
That's awesome. And the same, like me, like I've thought about now, I'm like, okay, graduated debt free. I want to make sure my kids can do that.
Right.
And I want them to work, of course, but in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to set myself up to where me and my family, like we can help them go to college. Like that's.
Yeah. But if you have that conversation and maybe they still go to a very reasonable price, Ivy Tech or whatever there is at that time, because, and just like, like here's my conversation. Like, how do I start my kids up here and like propel them? Like Dave Ramsey's done a fantastic job. Nobody wants to talk about what his kids do because it isn't a failure. It isn't a, Miley Cyrus that went crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and like, I get it. There is a lot of people that were successful that their kids went down the wrong path. But like, if we could set our kids up here to propel up, like, within 5 years, they'll be way higher than we are. And like, how cool, like,
that's cool.
I mean, to me, unfortunately in this world, really it's only your parents that ever want to see you truly do better than them. So, yeah, that's, dude, it's awesome. Like when you told me you did this, like, because I mean, me and Emily talk about it all the time, and we go all the classroom visits.
Yeah.
And it's like, finally now after talking about it for like 14 years, like I feel like we're finally getting people that like fruits of our labors are finally paying off. And like, and I don't do it for this. I mean, I love this kind of opportunity.
Right.
Like I genuinely do it just because if it is just one kid that makes an impact, like what impact are you going to make at the credit union? Like that is something that, me and Emily helped plant the seed that in 20 years, like you're going to impact hundreds, if not thousands of people. And just from that, and then if there's 20 people that do that, like. Right.
And I don't know if I will work in banking forever, but I do know I really enjoy, like the idea of like financial counseling. I love the idea of, hey, like let's figure out how to do this right. How are we going to get you out of debt? How are we going to, speaking with people about budgets, stuff like that. I enjoy it. I'm intrinsically motivated by it. It's more than a paycheck to me when I go to work now. I genuinely love to sit down with my members and be like, hey, what's going on? Right. How can we fix this? You're paying, X amount of dollars a month, or, people are paying 24% to 30% interest rate on a credit card. Hey, let's balance transfer it and get it at 5%, and then we'll make a budget so you can pay it off.
Well, if people would just do the math, Emily had a small car loan that she paid off pretty quick. Mm-hmm. And then we had a very small mortgage when we lived in Tennessee. Other than that, like Emily's never had debt. Like, so she doesn't, like sometimes I'll pull up like something and show her like what the interest would be paid on something. And she's like, truly, no wonder people are so broke. Yeah. Like, I mean, and I always say this, like when people argue with me, I'm like, Dave says this all the time. What building's bigger, the bank or your house? I mean, truly. There's a reason. I get it. They employ people like you.
Yeah, I work in banking, and, why do we put so much emphasis on lending? It's because that's how the financial institution makes money. Right. Granted, I do think if you're going to lend with anywhere, even Dave Ramsey says go with a credit union. Right. Your profits, the profits do go back to members in ways, in CD interests, other things like that. But yeah, like that's there's a reason that banks are always going to be around. Like there's a reason that lenders make so much money. There's a reason that credit card companies make so much money. And I'm not anti. If you do whatever you want to do, but credit card points, if you made 1% back on that $1,000, think about how much money you're getting charged on interest. Like they're making way more than what they're giving back to you.
Well, and I think Dave says this in his class, like, this is probably 40 years ago now. I'm joking, but the first time that McDonald's started taking a debit card, like I think the average size went up, or the average order went up 43%.
That's wild.
Now, I will admit this, we use credit card inside the business.
Hey,
now we're also spending, like, once again, it's a lot of money. I get it. I could use the debit card. I get that. One thing that I really like about the current one we use is on the bills, it shows who did it. If Adam did it.
That's cool.
So that's
it's more
easier,
itemized for you.
It's more easier to follow. Plus, we're buying gas every day. We're buying material every day. So, like, it's not like I'm like, oh, you know what? For Zoe's job, we're just going to spend an extra $500 because I would rather give Zoe $500 more than me make $500 more in profit. That's not it. But, but it's always funny. And like, I've been in business now long enough. It feels like that people want to argue with me. And then it's always funny though for me because I've got some good friends, and they own a very large roofing company, and Dave Ramsey changed their life.
That's awesome.
And like, it's kind of cool. They know. So, and I won't say any names because it's really nobody's business, but they're looking to sell their business for millions.
Absolutely.
Okay. And he called me one day and he said, "Who do you trust with your money. He goes, I've talked to so many people I've never trusted. Well, me and Emily were fortunate enough a little over a year ago. We went down to this legacy event at Dave's office, and there was like 20 of us in the room with Dave. And me and Emily were the youngest people in there, and we were the poorest people in there.
And that's honestly the best room for you to be in. You're the youngest, you're the dumbest,
And I wasn't intimidated one bit. And I met Dave's personal financial advisor. I didn't even talk to the guy, to be honest, because I'm like, you know what, we're at right now, there's really not much conversation to have with him. He reached out, wanted to connect. I've still yet to really talk to him much, but I connected him with my friend. And he called me up the day after he talked to him. And he's like, dude, Bob, I've never trusted anybody with my money.
Good.
And I mean, there are friends, people that may watch this, that connected him with their financial guy that he didn't trust him at all. He's like, I truly trust him. I was like, well, he literally takes care of a lot of Dave's financial investments and Dave's kids. So like, I mean, and the guy's great. Like, he still stays connected with me, and he's just like, Bob, I'm here. I'm a resource. Whatever you need. Like, I understand we may not do business today. It may not be next year, but to have, like, that was pretty cool, because this guy is way more successful than I am when it comes to business size, net worth, all that. I was like, I was kind of humbled that he would call me and be like, hey, Bob, you're really the only guy I trust.
That's awesome.
To kind of to guide me, so that's cool, just because to be able to have them kind of connections, and, like I said, like when we sat in that room, there was a guy sitting there, and he had to be in his 80s, and he had fracking and oil equipment in 24 countries.
That's insane.
Like, I mean, that guy had money like falling. I mean, he had to have money fall, but he was such a humble dude. There was another couple I remember. They were worth like $35 million, and they had a tire company in I think Louisiana, and they had added like 2 locations. They started from nothing. Like, I don't know that, but they've had to live different. They've had to live below their means, and I really do feel like there has been a shift in probably the last 3 to 5 years of people are starting to kind of like make that shift, And
I see that, but then I also am in situations where I'm on TikTok, and I saw somebody today post going on vacation because I'm never going to pay off my $300,000 of student loans anyway, so I give up. Like, we can't have that mindset as a society. Like, it's detrimental to everybody.
Well, and we have sales guys inside our organization, and our sales guys are straight commission.
Yeah.
So they sell, they make money. They don't sell, they don't make money. And we've had some guys come in here and absolutely crush it. And we've had some people come in here and struggle. And if I'm just being honest, and I'm not talking down on anybody, the people that came in here with money in the bank, very low bills, they're the ones still here. And I won't repeat what they make because it's really nobody's business. However, like,
it's a good living.
It's a very good living. Yeah. And however, like, they've come in and done a job that, I had one guy quit not that long ago. It's just like, great place to work. Kudos, the guy's making it work. It's just not working for me. So like, I don't know. You just got so many opportunities, and then even as a business owner, like, literally me and Ellie and Emily were having this conversation today of like, as a business owner, to run it debt free, to show some grace. Like, unfortunately, she lost her dad a couple of years ago, and I think we gave her an extra week of just like, go, not heal, because that's very cruel to act like you can heal in a week or two, but like, go take some time. And it's nice as a business owner of like, okay, I don't have to stress like, how am I going to pay her next week? Like, kudos to Adam. He goes and volunteers every year for a week at Mahoney Valley Church Camp. And it's like, Adam, just make sure what needs to be done for the week's done and go enjoy it. And yeah, of course, every week he's gone, there's like 4 things that pop up. And I'm like, I got to get with Adam. I'm pretty dumb here too, Zoe. And I just found out about 2 months ago that you can delay send text messages.
You can?
So So
No, actually, you can.
Oh, absolutely. If you're
I
going Verizon to Verizon, or I'm sorry, Apple to Apple, yeah. So
What?
poor Adam, like he just
got the text message at
exactly 8 o'clock,
and I know Bob scheduled that text.
But it's better than 2:30 in the morning when I'm thinking about it.
Because that's when I'll text them. I'll be like, hey, like not to bother, but like I'm thinking about it right now. Like blah blah blah. That's really cool. I'm gonna need to remember that.
You can do that with email too if you didn't know that.
I didn't.
So like literally,
I did not.
Yeah. So now every once in a while I'll go ahead and send an email just so they know I was thinking about it at 4:30 in the morning.
It's keeping me up at night.
Just so they're like, oh my, what the heck was the boss doing at this time?
Yep.
You know. But yeah, like I mean, and that was nice because there was a few things popped up or a couple things I took care of, and I was just like, just so you know,
hey, I did it like this. I hope it's right.
You know.
Yep.
So I mean, that's like I said, it's cool to see like a seed that we helped plant several years back now, because we've been sponsoring Rushville School for probably close to 5 years, you know.
I want to say I was in the class in 2021.
Okay.
But I don't know when you guys started sponsoring.
Yeah, I mean, we're in 25. What are we, at the end of June? I mean, geez, my peas, like it was...
So you were already doing it when I started in November of 21, so...
Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy. And, you know, one thing that you'll notice... Like, so the problem with social media is it's really easy to see that one person that's being very stupid and very irresponsible. We'll be politically correct here for once. On like taking a vacation and saying I'll never pay off my student loans. But there are a lot more people that pay cash for stuff and that will say no or whatever that looks like, you know. And it's not what I've learned is you'll start attracting more than people, or even if you're friends with somebody that is irresponsible, like those sooner or later will come around and be like, teach me that or show me that, you know. Like me and Emily are starting to see that. Like we've mentored some couples and we've mentored some successfully, and we had one couple come in here, and I give them kudos for coming in here because they didn't really know neither one of us, but they didn't do anything. And I mean, that broke my heart, you know. But there's a lot of students, and when we go talk to the high school class, I always say this, like, hey, you're probably not going to listen to much of this, but if I just plant a little seed, you know, and that's why I'm like saying, like, any chance you get, like, you know, if somebody, they ask you to come back and talk to the FFA or something like that, like, go do it, because people are, you know, and I hate to say this, especially in 5 or 10 years, and they see you living a different lifestyle and just maybe more at peace, then like, I want kind of what she has over here. Like, we just built a house. Like, I really don't care what people think. Like, it looks big, but it was built very plain, more economical to build, and it's very efficient.
My parents did that. It was more economical to build than for them to buy a house. It's
very efficient for what we want in the season that we're in, you know. So like, I mean, I told somebody the other day, they're like, you're building the barn back there? I was like, yep. So my goal is, Braden, if you're watching this, I'm gonna buy it one day. Braden Schultz owns the field beside us. I said, my goal is one day to buy that field, and I said, build a house in 20 years off that other road, and I can look out my back door and see my grandkids messing with their 4-H calves, and one of my kids could be living in our, you know what I mean?
I love that. Like, that's so cool.
Like, but that's the generation, like the generational change that you can have here is nuts, because like my kids, like, and they don't even understand this yet, but like,
they don't.
They'll never have debt, or they won't be in my will. But I mean that, like, I want to show them, like, I was fortunate, like my dad, and fortunately my in-laws are the same, like they drove junk vehicles. So I never thought I had to have a super duper nice vehicle, you know. And if my dad did borrow money, it was on like a piece of farm equipment that he was going to work and hopefully make money on, or, you know, it was never a $90,000 truck. It may be a $4,500 truck, you know. So what is something that maybe like your parents taught you that looking back, maybe you didn't see 2, 3, 4 years ago where it was beneficial, but maybe now that you're like, wow, that actually helped me there?
My mom, she's very smart lady, done very well in life, and work came from nothing. I mean, truly, like it was, yeah. And she made mistakes and learned from them. But one thing that I genuinely think she did right was she didn't spend a lot of money on shoes and clothes, and she never had, she never like had anything crazy done with her hair. Like she was a very plain and simple person, because she would be like, I don't know why I'd want to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on this or that. And she very much, to me, had the minimalist life before it was cool,
right.
Just because she's like, why do I need this?
Right.
Why do I need to dress like this? Like, and now I'm where I am at in life, and I see, there's a trend of, this sweatshirt's really cool because this, musician made it or something cool like that, and everybody has to pay $200 for it, and I'm like, I don't really need that. I have a sweatshirt, or like I don't need the brand, because she was never like that,
right?
So that's something I guess I really carry,
and I think that's something we can kind of all reflect as we conclude here. Like, look at maybe something that your parents, we've all got habits that we probably aren't happy or proud of that we got from our parents. But like what is something that we could appreciate, because it really helps mold us, who we are. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with a nice truck or a junk truck. There's nothing wrong if you go to wherever to buy fancy clothes, or, fortunately Emily loved going to Goodwill.
I love Goodwill.
Now there's so many of these, what used to be Goodies, it's changed its name like 17 times since. But Emily can go in there and buy cheap clothes.
Yeah.
And like,
this is like TJ Maxx for like $10.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a nice enough top I wear to work.
Right.
These pants are work pants for me, and I bought them at Goodwill for like $5.
Right.
Like,
yeah. And like, I mean, and like I said, and there's nothing wrong, because like, one thing when me and Emily did our debt for Snowball, like when I do something, I kind of do it to an extreme. And about every 6 weeks, we'd have a knockout, drag out argument. You're never going to let me spend money. And I was like, yes, I will, but let's just clear this. And, now it's funny because she wears more Anti-Wrinkle cream and night routine. I tell her she has to quit that, because I'm going to look like that creepy old guy in about 15 years. I'm going to look like I'm, 55. She's going to look like she's 30. And everybody's going to think she's with me for my money.
They're never going to remember what you drove, Bob, but they're going to remember how good your wife looked. I'm on her team. Let her buy it.
Oh yeah. Now it's like, I don't even care. Like, it's just like, yes,
financial piece.
Joke. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, what? And I mean, it's like a different box every. Literally the other day, this big box came in. I was like, what is that? And she's like, oh, well, they sent me some things because I'm part of this. I'm like, all right, sweetie, that's fine. So, but no, thank you for coming in, and like, seriously,
thank you for sponsoring the class in 2021 that I took, and I had no idea who you were or your company, and you came and talked to my class, and I was like, I'm going to remember this conversation, and it's proceeded to be a connection I've had over several years now. And
I mean, we're proud of you. And like,
Thank you.
It's a fun story to tell. Like, I'm literally getting chills and the hair is standing up on my arms, because like, as a business owner, like and I've said this from day one, and people are probably tired of hearing it. Like, it's way bigger than Bob and Emily Hoel. Yep. Like, yes, I started it. I wanted a better life for my young family.
Yes.
But now it's like, the impact, like I talk about legacy, mm-hmm. and it's just like, this is part of my legacy that, I don't know. I just like, I want to leave my mark on this earth. And I mean this, like Ed Milet says this, like he believes one day when we meet our maker, that he believes that God's going to show you a picture of what you could have been. And he wants to be looking in the mirror.
That's cool. I like that.
As we do conclude here, like, think of that. Like, think of that in your life. Like, leave it all out, The Pacers got beat last night. Little jab there at Chris. But, like, leave it out on the court. Leave it out on the field. And thank you guys for tuning in.